friends, welcome back to Food Prep Guide. I am out in the wood chip area of my garden today, and I want to talk to you about fire ants in the vegetable garden. I have struggled with this big time. I live in the South, I live in fire ant country, and kind of fortunately, I've chosen two of the no-no gardening methods for if you already struggle with fire ants. And I have chosen to do them anyway, and one of those is this wood chip back to Eden method. The other one is weed fabric. Ants, especially fire ants, they like to build their homes underneath organic matter or underneath something that remains covered most of the time. And so that happens with wood chips, and that happens with weed fabric as well. I believe the pros outweigh the cons, so that's why I'm choosing to do it anyway. But I do struggle with that big time. Now, black ants, sugar ants, different types of ants that are not fire ants, they respond really well to our borax and sugar solution. We have a video on that, and I will link that in the description box below. But the borax and sugar solution does not work on fire ants, unfortunately. Now, the strategy that I have taken with fire ants for the most part is to live in harmony with them. And what I mean by that is if they are in an area where they are all up in my business, they're right where I have to plant, then I have to address it, which I'm going to show you exactly what I use and exactly how I do it in just a minute. But if they are in an area where I don't have to plant right next to them and I don't have to disturb that area so much, then I will just leave them be, because they're making their home, they're being attracted, they're all coming to this area, and I need to work in this area, so it kind of works out. They kind of stay out of my way. Now, these wood chips right here, they also extend as far as you can see this way. They extend this way to my right as far as you can see as well. And this is eventually going to be, I'm making sure I'm not standing in any because I've got an anthill right behind you, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about in just a minute. Doesn't look like there is, but this is where all of my sweet potatoes are going to be going this year. Now, I'm about 6 weeks away from needing to plant out my sweet potato slips. I was really hoping that the two fire ant mounds that I have in this area would move away by the time that I needed to plant sweet potato slips, but they're not. So unfortunately, I can't live with them anymore. I'm going to have to get them packing. So what I'm doing, or let me tell you about the things that I have tried and failed miserably at, because they are really popular on social media. I've seen social media reels on them, you know, TikTok, Facebook, even here on YouTube, and I have tried them, and I'm sure it's different for different climates, different areas, different types of fire ants, but I'm telling you, I have tried all of them and nothing has worked. I have tried pouring grits on the ant mounds. Supposedly they will consume those grits, and then it'll basically dehydrate them from the inside out, or they'll go and drink water. Those grits will swell and they'll die. That hasn't worked. I have tried the boiling water technique, where you take a stick, like dig a hole inside the ant mound, pour boiling water down it, and you know, supposedly that will kill them. That has not worked for me. I have tried the lighting them on fire, dousing it with gasoline or diesel and lighting them on fire. That has not worked. They will just pop up about 2 feet over within the next week or two. I just feel like I've tried a Dawn dish detergent solution with some essential oils in it. That has not worked. And the issue that we have when fire ants are in our vegetable gardens is that we do not want to use any type of poison in them that could then get into our vegetables. So your traditional insecticides are not an option for me personally. And that's kind of the problem. It's like those heavy-duty insecticides are really what's needed to kick out fire ants for good. So the ways that I've mentioned that I've tried, they do kill the ants on the surface, but they don't go in and kill the queen. And if you don't kill the queen, that mound is just going to bounce right back and get bigger and better than ever. Or they will simply get annoyed and they'll relocate 2 to 3 feet away, and you still have an issue. You have to kill the queen in order to get rid of the whole colony. So all of those things that I mentioned, they did work to kill the surface area, and I think that's why they're so popular on social media, because they're showing you that, hey, look, all these ants are dead, and yes, they are, but only on the surface. We've got to get below the surface. So how do we do that? I have been racking my brain, researching the internet, looking at my local county extension offices, you know, asking around, And something that I have found recently that I am really excited about is a spinosad, or spinosad, I don't know how it's pronounced, spinosad or spinosad, spinosad, I don't know. It's spinosad. It's a spinosad drench that is working for these fire ant mounds. Now, I have already done these drenches. I did the drenches yesterday, and I'm gonna show you how I did it. But then I'm gonna take you to another fire ant hill over here, and we're gonna do what you're not supposed to do, which is stick a stick in it and rinse, get them all mad. And I'm gonna show you that they're still alive after the drench. But because I want to show you like the proof that, hey, you're gonna apply this, it's gonna take about 2 to 3 weeks to work. I'm gonna show you that they're not gonna die instantly like all of those other methods. Then I'm gonna bring you back in this same video. We're gonna do like a time lapse of 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks. And then I'm gonna show you that they are truly dead and gone. It kills the queen. The mound is no longer an issue. So let me get you set up on this anthill right here, and I'm gonna show you exactly the product that I used, how I mixed it up and diluted it, and how I applied it. Welcome to Food Prep Guide. My name is Jordan. I'm a homeschooling mom to 3, living on 3 beautiful acres with my wonderful husband. A health crisis forced our family to change the way we think about food. Unfortunately, it also put us in financial hardship. Thankfully, the solution to both challenges was the same: to live off the land as much as possible. For us, that means growing a garden, preserving the harvest, raising chickens, and cooking from scratch. It's definitely a family affair. And friends, too. Meet Stacy, researcher, author, and lifelong learner. She entered the world of food preservation in the crazy days of 2020. She joined a gleaning co-op, and a local grocer offered her clearance produce in bulk, and so the adventure began. Together, we're reclaiming the old ways of food stewardship and teaching them to the next generation. If there's one thing you should know about us, it's that we love Jesus and seek to steward his blessings wisely. Our table always has room for one more, so y'all come join us. Okay, y'all, this is not gonna work out. I tried so many different camera angles trying to get the anthill in view so that I could show you how I applied it, and they are just far too active right now. I can't find anywhere that I can stand without them getting on my boots. So what I'm gonna have to stand over here and flip the camera around and zoom in and show it to you that way. Here is the anthill number 1 in question. It starts here, and then it extends way over there. And even though you don't see any of that dusty material in between there, they're actually underneath there too. They're down at the base of that wood chip pile as well. They just haven't they haven't built their colony up to the surface to where you can see that sawdust material quite yet. But they are there because I didn't think they were, and that's one of the places I stepped in trying to set up the camera, and they got all over my boots. So anyway, here is anthill number 1, and the product that we're going to be using is this Bonide Captain Jack's spinosad. Now, it doesn't say anywhere on here that it treats ants. You can see tent caterpillars, spider mites, bagworms, leaf miners, what's that, codling moth? Never heard of that. But it doesn't mention anything about ants. So I think that's one of the reasons why it has been so hard to find a good natural fire ant treatment. And it doesn't even really say spinosad in any big letters or anything. So you have to look under the active ingredients right where my thumb is and look for that word right there. That's what you're going to be looking for when you're looking to do a spinosad ant drench. Now to do this diluted and to the, I guess, calculations is you're going to get 2 ounces. I just have this glass, it's about 2 ounces. You need about 2 ounces of that insecticide put into 2 gallons of water. I used milk jugs. I have just an empty milk jug here. I used 2 of them. I didn't poke any holes in the lids. I just poured it out just straight like you would pour milk out of a milk jug. But basically what spinosad is, I don't think I've mentioned it so far. It is actually a natural bacteria found in soil already that is toxic to some insects and some bugs, not just insects, but some bugs. But it is not toxic to humans. We come into contact with it when we're working with soil. And what it does is it's kind of like a nerve agent. It reacts with the bug's nervous system and essentially paralyzes it over time, but it doesn't happen immediately. So this isn't something that you're going to apply and then see results in within 24 hours. This is something that takes about 2 weeks to work. So what you do is you create a little border around the fire ant hill first, and you're just going to use your drench. So here's the fire ant hill. You're going to, where's my finger? Hold on a minute. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, there it is. Okay, so you're gonna drench a little barrier around the ant hill all the way over here. You're gonna use about half of your first milk jug to create a barrier around the ant hill itself. Then you're going to use the rest of that half of your milk jug plus your second milk jug, and you're going to actually drench the entire mounds, the mounds themselves. I started at the top because the gravity is just going to take that runoff down. So I started at the top and I worked in like a right to left motion and just completely drenched that pile. And anywhere you see the ants surfacing, go ahead and drench that area as well. And that's all you do to apply it. Now I'm going to get up a little bit closer and kind of take a stick and mess with it a little bit so that you can clearly see the ants are not dead. And like I mentioned previously, that's been part of the issue with finding reliable fire ant killers, because they'll kill the natural ways, will kill at the surface. They will not go down into the colony and kill the queen. So you can see very active colony still, despite the spinosad drench yesterday. So what I'm going to do at this point is just wait for about 2 weeks, and I'm going to bring you out again and do the same thing. We're going to disrupt the colony and see what we're dealing with at that point. And in about 2 weeks, this colony should be completely dead, not just on the surface. The queen should be dead. The entire colony should be gone. So we'll see you then. Okay, y'all, it has been 2 weeks and it's time for the moment of truth. Remember, we got those 2 piles here and here. This one is definitely looking dead. This one, I don't know, looking kind of lively. I definitely don't see any action on the surface, but I don't know, it just kind of looks like it might still be alive. So I've got this stick here. I'm gonna do some poking, do some disturbing, and we'll see what happens and see if this spinosad drench worked or not. Okay, let's start over here with the one that really definitely looks dead. No ants so far. Not seeing anything. They would be running out by now. Zoom in. I don't see any ants. Okay, we're gonna call that a win. Let's check this one. This one has a bunch of holes still where they're like digging tunnels and stuff. So I don't know. Let's get right there where those holes are. See what happens. I don't see any ants. Let's get real deep in there and see if they're heading in there deep. I don't see any ants, y'all. Wow. Look at that. Nothing. Let's come up here. There's still some sawdust looking stuff. I don't see any ants. Wow. I'm so excited. Okay, I've got one more location that I didn't show it on film last time, but I've got one more hill that I did at the same time. So it's been 2 weeks since that one. So let's go check that one too. Okay, here is the other ant hill that I didn't show on camera, but I did the spinosad drench on the same day. It's massive. It starts all the way where that little green thing is sprouting up, and it comes all the way down here. So let's see what happens. I'm not seeing anything. Let's come all the way up here. Let's come here. No ants. Wow. Okay, I'm calling it. Spinosad drench. My new favorite way to get rid of fire ants inside the vegetable garden. Where food needs to come in contact with it. We don't want to use any pesticides, of course. Awesome. Proof's in the pudding. No ants, y'all. Okay, hope that helps y'all get rid of some fire ants in y'all's garden. See you next time. Bye.